Okay, here we go.
Yeah, just one of the things that comes across with Cars 1 is how personal a movie it is for you, and I was wondering what your personal affection for this movie is. And why
This movie is so personal for me because first of all, my father was a parts manager at a Chevrolet dealership, and so I grew up loving cars because of him, and it's so ingrained in this film. But secondly, spy movies. I was born in 1957, so I grew up, I was a perfect age in 1964 when The Man from U.N.C.L.E. came on TV. The Man from U.N.C.L.E. If you haven't seen it, check it out, because it was awesome. And I was like, every time I'd play in the backyard, I was those characters. I'd get all the toy guns from it, and it was so cool. Napoleon Solo had this pistol he could make into a rifle, all the gadgets and stuff, and I love that. And so the love of spy movies kind of got into my DNA because of that. And so then also in this movie, I've been traveling around the world and fell in love with all these beautiful places around the world, and I kind of wanted to see what a car version of those worlds could be. And also racing. I was really fortunate, after cars, to go to my first Formula One race, and it was like, I get it now. I've always loved NASCAR racing, and I've taken driving classes and stuff, but to see a Formula One race and see these cars, it's like breathtaking. So I said, I got to get Lightning McQueen to race one of these kind of cars, and to race all other kind of cool cars. And so all those things kind of came together to make this movie. And when I started this movie, I hadn't been directing, for a while. I've been being Mr. Chief Creative Officer here at Pixar. And so coming back, it was just like, it was so much fun to get back in the director chair. And I said, I just want to make a really fun movie. I have 5 sons. We are huge fans of the Bourne Identity movies. And I was like, okay, we're just going to have a blast making this movie, because I just want it to be fun from beginning to end for audiences.
On the subject of you being away from it for a little while and coming back in with this movie, I was really curious, with all the sort of more corporate responsibilities you have now, how you've managed to juggle making this film. Like, presumably you were having to focus on Cars 2, but you're also like greenlighting and okaying and contributing to all these other projects.
Right.
How are you able to do that?
It's very difficult. It was very, very tough.
Have you had any sleep?
Not much. So I actually love, one of the great things about Pixar is it's a filmmaker-driven studio. And so what that means is the directors themselves are coming up with the story ideas and working with their story crews and really crafting it. And I want that. I want it to be their movies, that they put their heart and soul into it. And so therefore in my Chief Creative Officer role, I'm working with all of those directors, making their movies the best they could be. And I do greenlight the movies, and I greenlight the sequences that go into the films. And I think that to me, I just enjoyed that so much, and seeing all those other, see what they're coming up with and being the collaborator in this really creative place. But I kind of missed actually making the stories myself and working with a story crew and crafting the film. And then especially working with all the other artists, because as my executive position, I don't really work with the animators and the artists, and I kind of miss that. And so it was really fun to be able to go back and do that. And so what I did is I had a crew. I had Brad Lewis, who was a co-director. I let them kind of start developing some ideas, and I would check in with them regularly. And then I sent them, on the research trips, because the research is so important in these films, to get everything authentic and to come back with all the photographs. And I had been to all the places myself, so I used my own personal photographs and brought those in for reference and so on. And so it was really important to kind of have that group do the research, and I was able to kind of catch up and really start working on the story. And then I started devoting about the last year and a half pretty much all my time to Cars 2, while I was still checking in a little bit.
Something that for me at least has defined recent Pixar movies has been you're not afraid to do something maybe that people raise their eyebrows to, you know, whether it's rats cooking or an old man and a Cub Scout flying in a house, or, you know, Wally's silent for like half an hour. And to me, the thing in this is you've taken the supporting character, and he's really the star. Lightning McQueen, the more square-jawed, typical hero, is almost relegated in this movie, and you follow Mater. Did you ever see that as being any kind of risk with audiences or anything like that?
Well, you know, I don't really see that Lightning McQueen is relegated to a back seat. I see that he's still one of the main characters, but Mater has been elevated because we're looking at what is going to be the emotional core of this movie. The emotional core of our stories is so important. I would argue it's the most important thing within our stories. It's that how does this make you feel? And so we, you know, in bringing Mater up, I wanted to make the friendship be the story, the emotional story, and how this friendship gets fractured and then comes back together. It's where the emotional core. But it is very, it's a very touching. We knew it would be really touching to have Mater, who is so fun and lives life to the fullest, and he always is himself. But he actually recognizes that people are not laughing with them; they're laughing at him. And it's how that kind of innocent person kind of gets innocent character kind of gets kind of hurt in this way, and it's very, very special, you know, in this kind of emotional core, you know, with this friendship.
I was wondering, in contrast to, say, Up, where at the end, at the end of Up, you know, the other explorer is killed off, and then you watch the kind of the Blu-ray on that, and they say, we had a hard time with this, we didn't want to kill him off, but we did it because of the story reasons or whatever. And I wondered whether you had any kind of similar wrestling around, or whether it's contentious to have so many characters in Cars 2 kind of either be crushed up or burned or kind of explode. I mean, one of the things that shocked me when I first saw footage is, not in a bad way, but one of the things that sort of caught my eye was that when the Michael Caine character's racing away on the oil rig, like that whole thing explodes and there's all that. I mean, was that ever contentious within the studio? Or? No,
never. You know, we recognize as we go into the certain types of film genres, The Incredibles, for instance, and you know, is a superhero movie, and that's got a lot of, you know, what I consider cartoon violence, but you need it for that kind of genre, and part of it is not about the violence. It's about the emotional connection the audience has with the characters. You want the audience to worry about the characters. Are they going to make it? It's an animated film, right? But you still want people to be on the edge of their seat, worrying about those characters. You have to have in your film peril, the spy movie. You have to make the bad guys be serious and be dangerous, even though they're funny. They're the lemon cars of the world, and they're individually kind of funny characters. But you need to have them be bad, so that when Mater and Lightning McQueen, they want to kill them. They want to kill them. You want to be like, ah, you know, on the edge of your seat. You know, it's like anybody can sit back and go, "Oh, it's a Pixar film. They're gonna make it. They're not gonna kill off the main characters." I don't want people to be thinking that. I want them to be like on the edge of their seat. What's gonna happen next, right? So it's not about the violence. It's about the tension that we're trying to build. But we're really proud of this film because we're very aware that these movies are for adults as well as kids and families, and we want to make it feel like these films are for everybody. And so we're very conscious of the violence in the film, and we walk the fine line to where it's cartoon violence, it's okay, it's with cars, it's all that stuff, right? But still, it's the spy movie genre, and we want to keep the tension to be real.
Cool. Okay, is that
one more
is
question?
that wrapping up? Okay. Yeah, I wondered if there's it's really clear the passion of something like Toy Story and Cars comes from your childhood and the things you're fond of. And I was wondering, obviously you're not going to tell us about any movies that haven't been announced, but are there things still from your childhood that you really are still waiting to make that movie about, one day?
Um, I don't know, to be honest. I mean, sometimes something will come up and it'll be like, oh yeah, this, I'm really excited about this. Right now, I was, it's sort of my two big loves as far as toys were Hot Wheels and G.I. Joes when I was growing up. So Buzz Lightyear's the height of the original G.I. Joe, and my love of Hot Wheels kind of is one of the reasons why I created Cars. So I'm not done, but I don't know. I don't know what movie I'm going to direct next. I'm really proud of Cars 2, and I'm really looking forward to helping the next few Pixar directors make their films awesome.
Cool. Thank you very much for your time.
You bet. Thank you.
Cheers.